Avantika, I'm really excited to share with everyone today, your story, your journey to your current position, background. It really is exciting and fascinating, and it's going to be a really engaging session. So before we get any further, I want to do a really quick background, 2 seconds on myself. Once again, Eric Gaffey, Agency Partner Manager at Liftoff. We're a mobile growth DSP that helps brands build their app user base. So think just performance marketing. All right, got that out of the way. Let's get into the fun stuff. So great to have you today, Avantika. Can you share a little bit on your journey and how you became a Director of Growth at Fresh Prep? And take it away.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, before I get into it, I really want to thank you for having me here. So yeah, regarding my journey, unlike most of the traditional marketers, I started as an engineering graduate decades back ago. And I always feel that coding experience, which I really coded for like 4 years after my graduation with some cool tech companies like AMD and all. So, and I'm really proud of it. And I feel that has always given me an edge in learning marketing technology, in adapting to the tech, because in today's world, the marketing is a lot of tech. So, right, you have to adapt to it, you have to implement it, you have to get results out of it. So I always think that coding experience has given me an edge with that in adapting the technology, right? So regarding the marketing side of it, I have been working for over 10 years in marketing, with my career spanning over some of the big B2C brands like eBay, where I managed their social media ads for like 8 countries. And then I moved to Canada to work for Best Buy. So, and in my current role at Fresh Prep, I'm managing their all digital channels, primarily responsible for the growth and the new customer acquisition. So I manage search engine optimization, paid media, affiliate, partnerships, and influencers. So my role is mostly like a T-shaped digital marketer. So like overseeing lots of channels. And of course, I do have my few favorite ones. So that is like a T-shape. Yeah, but that's how about it.
Awesome. Yeah, you sound like you have a pretty busy day. So thank you for taking the time. We'll get into some of the more, I guess, business-oriented questions about what's your favorite channel, what are your predictions for 2023, telling us more about what Fresh Prep is. But I kind of want to start more on the personal front. Obviously, today is about women in marketing, and the journey that you just walked us through from being, starting off in coding and engineering, and then moving into your current role as the Director of Growth Marketing for Fresh Prep. Kind of, what's the lens outside of that's almost like the resume overview. What's the personal side of it? How has it been as you've gone as a woman from India to your current role in Canada as the Director of Growth? I'd love to hear more on that.
Sure, I would love to share. Yeah, that's a good thing. So like I was like born in a very small city in India. So, and decades ago, and at that time, unfortunately, India was not as progressive as it is today. So like there was a lot of societal pressure and norms for girls there, like from like clothing to even how a girl should sit, talk, behave, right? And what are girls supposed to do and what they are not, right? So there was a lot of society pressure, stigma around it. So, but I'm lucky that I have a very supportive family, especially my grandparents, whom I call Nana ji and Nani ji, and my parents, right? So, especially my mom, they were like, there's nothing that I cannot do because I'm a girl, right? So they brought me up in a really very supportive environment. In fact, they always challenged me to do things which were not supposed to do being done by girls at that time. So be it like a professional goal. So they set up like, okay, you should be doing engineering. Why not? You should not be doing, right? So, and even to small things that makes up your character, like going out alone, traveling alone, especially in that city, which were not considered safe at that time for girls in our city. So like, they actually motivate me to bring out my whole personality there, right? So, and few things like like glass ceiling, right? So glass ceiling, the social barrier, right, which prevents women from being promoted to top jobs in management. So I've seen that glass ceiling much before I started in the corporate world. So, and the one example is like, I was the only girl in my maths and the computers class. So I took maths and computers as majors in my high school. And I was the only girl in that school. I mean, I do not know why, but right. I mean, so like, how to behave or how to get well in an environment where you are the only girl in the room, right? I mean, so those kinds of things I have seen much before than the corporate ladder. But luckily, I have like two very strong mentors in my life. I mean, and they share like really great learnings around there. The one was basically around like a lean in for responsibilities. I'm glad that I learned it very early in my career, right? So like to lean in for responsibilities, to press ahead, to project confidence, like to sit at the table where all the decisions are being made, right? And basically, even like on the table, like physically lean in to make yourself heard, right? I mean, to make yourself your presence like felt to others, right? I mean, so that is like very important learning that I had from one of my mentor in the life. Other one also I want to share, and this one is really important for me because this one is from my previous manager at Best Buy, and of course he was not Indian, and then he shared it with me so that it resonated with me so well. So he actually told me like, Avantika, be your own Durga. And Durga here is a female goddess in Hindu mythology, which is associated with lots of strength, power, and all those things, right? So he was like, you have to fight your own arguments, right? I mean, you have to fight your own battle. I mean, that means right on the table, right? So like be your own Durga kind of thing is something which like be a fearless leader, right? So yeah.
I mean, and I'm sure everyone is nodding along right now. This is why I was so excited to have today's conversation, because I mean, from being the only person in your math class, which on a personal note, I remember trying to run and sprint out of math class, and you're fighting and going and pushing your way in, which is so incredible and inspiring. And then, you know, I think those two kind of mantras, so to speak, you know, leaning into responsibilities and being a fearless leader are so important, you know, obviously, and particularly for women in marketing and in any career, you know, and in life just in general, to continue to, you know, make sure that your voice is heard and making sure that, you know, that wisdom, power, and knowledge that you know, that you all possess is being brought out to the forefront. Now, moving just a little bit away from maybe work and your journey, I think this is something that's, you know, or maybe not moving away from work, but this is something that's so important and a lot of times not talked about as often as it should be. The work-life balance, you know, between being, you shared with me that you're a mother, a wife, and you're a director of growth at marketing. How you do all that with every channel under the sun that you're already managing. So take us into maybe a day-to-day. How are you managing all this, and how is it helping you continue to be such a leader in the corporate world, as well as, you know, that balance in your personal side as well?
Yeah, this is such a question close to my heart, right? I mean, and I'll start it by quoting an article from HBR. It's a pretty 2017, if I'm right, article, so not very new, but yeah, it still holds true. So the article says like, if you can't find a spouse who supports your career, I mean, stay single, and that stands. Oh, that sounds good so much for like especially women, right? I mean, the article actually, you know, in fact, goes and even says like professionally ambitious women really only have two options, right, when it comes to their personal partners: a super supportive partner or no partner at all. So like that article like really went into the depth, but the point here is like, I mean, I'm lucky enough to have a very supportive partner for me, right? So, and the one beautiful story around it is like when he asked for marriage for the thing, I mean, my only question to him was like, suppose, think of a scenario, because I'm an ambitious woman, I probably would be working throughout my life as much as I can. So like my only question to you is like, suppose there is a day when I come like really late evening and there are some guests at home. Will you be able to prepare menu, dishes, do the cooking part and entertain the guests? And he was like, okay. I'm like, if you're willing to do like almost 50% of it, then only probably we can go for a marriage. And I'm lucky that he is doing 50%, almost 50%, or maybe even more at times, honestly. So doing the load sharing with me from childcare to every other thing that we need at home. So yeah.
That's fantastic. I love to hear it. Okay. We've heard, the background and on the personal side, work-life balance, your two key leading mantras. Let's jump into a little bit into that execution. So as a woman in marketing, as a director of growth, let's ask a couple of business-focused questions. Let's start off with Fresh Prep. What does Fresh Prep bring to consumers? What are you guys bringing in the marketplace? You're a Canadian-based company, but obviously I want you guys, we're international here. We want to hear everything about it.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I'd love to share about Fresh Prep. So in general, at high level, Fresh Prep is a meal kit delivery service that provide customers with all the ingredients they need to make a tasty home cooked meals, right? And the good thing is the ingredients are not only pre-measured, but also prepped. So making it like really super easy, super simple for customers to simply follow a few steps in the recipe guide and then turn it into a beautiful meal, right? So but as in the meal kit industry, right, there are a few basic things that customers expect from a meal kit, right? So a few things are like customization, where Fresh Prep is really good at. It has lots of variety. It lets the customers choose all the recipes, go up and down as they want, pause and hold as they want, right? I mean, and of course, we do have lots of recipe variety that Fresh Prep, from vegetarian, low carb, dairy free options, whatnot. And of course, it's convenient. But these, I think, are the basic qualities that are required in a meal kit. So what sets Fresh Prep apart? It is its sustainable packaging. Like Fresh Prep uses 100% recycled and cyclable packaging material. So they even have their own proprietary zero waste containers, which reduces waste even further. And you do not have those big carton boxes like other kits, right? It's really good. So Fresh Prep, so that is the best part about it, right? So its commitment to the planet is very close to our heart, right? And the another thing is like lots of community involvement. So like in whichever provinces we operate, we do work closely with our local vendors in those provinces. And we ensure that those ingredients are like really sourced from local farmers and they are like really high quality. So like we are proud to be Canada's most sustainable meal kit. That sets it really apart, right? But other than that, the one another thing that, because we're talking about women in marketing here, right? So, I mean, we are proud to say that more than 50% of our employees identify as women. And even in our leadership team, right, we have more than 50% of women there. So, which is a great stats to celebrate.
That's absolutely fantastic to hear. And thank you for the background there. As Canada's most sustainable meal kit service, that probably makes your job a bit easier in terms of growth. But what else are you kind of your day-to-day, where are you focusing your energies as we enter 2023, maybe getting a little bit ahead of ourselves in terms of growing Fresh Prep? Like where's your day-to-day? What are you excited about? It's a pretty general question, but we'll start there. We can have some finer points too.
For sure, yeah. I mean, as a marketer and a fresh prepper, I mean, 2023 will be very different for us, right? I mean, we have to pivot accordingly how the tech industry is changing, new platforms are coming up, existing platforms are maturing and saturating, right? So industry is evolving at a much faster rate, and that is where we need to learn and adapt, right? The data privacy concerns, the data security concerns, right? Not able to let us target as efficient as we wanted to, right? So but other than that, right, our top priority for Fresh Prep is to continue building the Fresh Prep's brand and the reputation, right? So we are a fast growing company. We are entering new provinces. every year. So that is where we need, so we have to tackle like two sorts of market. Like in one province, we are at a quite mature stage, which doesn't need lots of branding effort, but it needs lots of performance marketing, right? But at the same time, we are entering into a new province, so that we have to look at as a new market, right? So lots of brand building efforts, focusing on our messaging, which is around sustainability, convenience, and quality, around those themes, right? So yeah.
Interesting. I'm going to go a little bit off the cuff here. You mentioned, pushing more branding efforts in well-established, or in new provinces, and then vice versa. How is it? What are? Can you share kind of two channels or two growth strategies that you're using, for one for branding and one for performance? Kind of like what's hot, so to speak, for you right now, and really moving the needle in both definitions or both strategies of marketing.
Oh yeah, for sure. So like when we are in a growth mature market, right, where we do not need as much as brand, then of course we really work as a true performance marketer. So everything is being counted against our core KPIs, right, which is of course customer acquisition rate, customer acquisition cost, right, and all those things. So, and when we talk about those, we know which are those channels are, right? I mean, we have like tons of channels in our portfolio, right? But we know like few channels like paid media, paid search, they are good in the performance marketing, right? Especially paid search, right? I mean, if people know about you and you are doing some branded search components there, right? So because you have already a brand built in the market, right? But in terms of like growing markets, right, where we need some platforms to reach out to wider audiences, and there we go like really wide. I mean, from digital channels like YouTube to non-traditional medias like billboards and all, right? I mean, even to direct mailers and all, right? I mean, because we want to increase our reach, and it's not easy to create customer acquisition cost because you are creating and putting lots of efforts in brand awareness and brand building there, right?
Gotcha. Okay, we're going to stay on channels for just a second. Which would, and this is a question I've asked in previous during previous moderations. Is that moderator? Previous times moderator. Never mind. Anyway, what's one channel that you just can't see yourself living without, or living without it? Yeah, in 2023. And has that changed from last year? So is there any difference between what you can't live without between 22 and 23, or where does that sit?
Yeah, that's a difficult question, because like as a full like T-shaped marketer, I really want all my channels on the portfolio, right? I mean, because each channel has its own unique characteristics, unique sets of target audiences, right? I mean, which are more active on those. I mean, the one who uses more Facebook might not be using more TikTok, right? I mean, because the audience persona is different, the age group is different, right? So it's really difficult to pick the best one there. But I mean, what has changed from 2022 to 23 is, of course, I mean, we all know, with lots of changes rolling out in this data privacy, iOS, there are few channels that are not working as great as they should be, right? I mean, but we are working towards making all those technology like API integrations and all to make sure like we are able to leverage those platforms with equal thing. But having said that, I mean, if I have to really pick one, it depends lots on marketing campaign, the objectives, right, and all those things. But I think being a performance marketer, paid search is something because someone cannot take off the budgets because it's scalable and sustainable, right? I mean,
of course. Awesome. Okay, so we've talked about your personal journey. We moved into a bit of fresh prep. We talked some work. I want to bring it back to a bit more focused on you as a woman in marketing. So can you share with us a major a pivotal learning moment in your career? It could be centered around being a woman in marketing. You just centered around just learning and growing and finding a love for, what we're all doing or what we all do on a day-to-day basis, which is marketing. But can you share a little bit more on, with us on this?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So like, I mean, the one learning as a woman marketer, I think I had in my career is I need to learn and learn quicker how to do networking, right? Because as the earlier speaker also said, right? I mean, networking is so important. And probably as a woman, or maybe probably as an Indian woman, I was not so good at it. And probably I'm not good at it yet too, right? So, but that is one thing which helps a lot, right? You really need to know who are the right decision makers and how to kick off conversations with them and how to kick off the networking with those people, right? And I'm very reluctant to go into the networking events yet, but I'm working on it. So right, so I think networking is something which each woman should spend some time, dedicated time on it, because it pays in the long run, right? It pays to get your visibility into the market, right? And being recognized as a strong leader.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I definitely need to work on that as well for myself. So thank you for sharing. All right, as we get close to wrapping up here, we talked a lot about 2023. Do you have a big prediction for this year?
Yeah. So for 2023, I mean, there are few things that will extend from 2022. I mean, with all those cookies, things going away and lots more changes coming up, right? I mean, the main challenge will be for organizations will be to figure out how to gather and leverage our first party data more than ever, right? I mean, but that's a trend that will be extending from 2022, right? I mean, we all are working on it, so it will probably get more accelerated there. Another thing that I think will be more around marketing automation, right? I mean, with the economy slowing down, I mean, we need more automated workflows that can take care and work with whole in itself and still can deliver a better digital experience. I mean, as as e-commerce is expanding, there's hardly any chance that our digital experience should not be the best, right? I mean, no user will excuse us for a poor digital experience, which is not good. So digital experience will be the most priority for each companies as well, right? Another thing, like coming back to the economy things, right? I mean, I think another thing that will happen is like we need to focus not just on growth, but we just need to focus more on a sustainable and a scalable growth. So we don't just want to acquire customers, right? But we want to acquire more profitable customers, the customers with higher lifetime values, the customers which give us more margins, right? I mean, so it's not just about like keep expanding, but like it's bring a growth that is more sustained. Right.
Fantastic. As I mean, first party data is everyone's true North Star, and continuing to grow and sustainable, and thinking also of not only obviously sustainability, climate, and keeping those things top of mind for us as we enter the new year. Okay, well, as we come close to wrapping up here, I want to ask you this parting question. Can you share with us some of the wisdom and kind of your last final talking points of being a woman in marketing? What have you learned, and what would be your recommendations if you have 1, 2, maybe 3 points to those who are listening, and either at the beginning of their career, middle of the career, end of their career? What are some of the wisdom that you've learned over your career that you'd like to impart upon us?
Yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, the one theme I'll pick up is from the last Women's Day theme, right? Which was like break the bias, right? So, but I mean, no matter how much we say we are unbiased, there are some conscious and unconscious bias sitting with most of us, right? So, and the most difficult part is we do not acknowledge those biases. So it's important for us that we uncover those biases, acknowledge them, and then work towards them, right? I mean, and it can be both with for men and women, right? I mean, women may have their own biases, right? I just heard some interviews there when in an interview, like the CEO said, like most of the women they interview, they always says like, I contributed, rather than men who likes to take the ownership of that success, like as if they have built the whole brand, right? But women are more towards like, okay, I contributed, I go, but what exactly you want to, achieve in the world, right? So the most important thing is working towards identifying, acknowledging, and breaking those bias for a more equal world, right? The another wisdom for me is also around like, and this is again from my mentor one, right? The lean-in one, right? So it's important that you ask for things, right? You ask for responsibilities, you ask for salary negotiations, you ask for that promotion, right? I think we always under ask, maybe men and women both, but probably women more, right? They do under ask. So like, and there are times, right? After coming into a people's manager role, like I realized that if I have two people working for me and there's one person who is asking, right? It seems like he is ready for it. He or she is ready for it, right? So
Certainly. Well,
but what worse can happen? You will not get that promotion. You will not get that salary hike. Nothing worse can happen than that. But at least ask.
I just did my my PRP, I think, on Tuesday, so I might go and edit it and put a couple of questions, ask for some more.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all we have for the viewers today. Avantika, I want to thank you so much for taking the time, for sharing with us the wisdom. It's been incredible getting to know you over this past week, and getting to really share the webcam, so to speak. No stage today, but the webcam with you. So it's been a pleasure and an honor. So thank you very much.